So, it has been an extremely crazy week, and it's only Tuesday. My fiance and I are actually planning a little mini vacation. He has a week of vacation he has to use up. So by the time you guys are watching this, I should be camping. That's what we decided to do a little bit of spring camping. I'm gonna try to make sure that I have, my hair is crazy. I'm gonna try to make sure I have enough time to record during my little vacation. So I think that just means I'm gonna record both videos on Thursday. So don't be surprised if next week I'm wearing the same clothes for both videos. Cause I'll do a hardcore. Goodness, this one piece of hair never wants to sit on the right side of my head. But, yeah. Try not to light my book on fire. Daylight savings is making it too bright. Alright. Looking back. Chapter 11. The Hayden Saga. The story in a nutshell. Hayden House was built by Joel Harris Hayden, a young man who came to Missouri from Kentucky in 1828, and in only a few years had established himself as a successful farmer and businessman. One Hayden House resident in the 1980s reported 2 sightings of the apparition of a young woman. People who worked in the restaurant also reported various strange occurrences, none of them frightening. Since Hayden's young wife had died in the house, it was assumed that the ghost was hers, and that it was a sad little spirit. Sources that had been accepted for many decades as being accurate indicated that the young wife was from another state, came here very young, and became ill rather soon, possibly from tuberculosis, possibly just from homesickness and general discontent. They said nothing about her having a child. The fact is that the young first wife was a Boone Countian and produced all Joel Harris Hayden's heirs by way of her one offspring before dying, a daughter. This girl grew up to marry locally and have several children, most of whom were girls who married into families from Boone County or nearby. Thus, there are, in the area, many descendants of Joel Harris Hayden, though not many who can carry on the family name. After his first wife's death, Hayden married twice more, and one of these women gave him 2 sons, but each boy died in early childhood. If tragedy engenders haunting, then these events would underline the possibility of spirits at Hayden House. The first wife had to forfeit a lifetime in her beautiful home and leave her baby behind. The second wife lost her sons and no doubt her own life there. Hayden probably died in the house, and possibly his third wife and his mother also spent their last days under its roof. An important correction. Joel Hayden became one of Boone County's most prominent citizens. He was among those who pledged a large sum of money to bring the University of Missouri to Columbia. He also built a number of impressive business places. Some of these are still in use. One of the less fortunate lost to fire was the city's first opera house, for years a welcome part of the area's cultural climate. These facts increased the drama of Hayden House. Earlier inaccuracies were pointed out by Darrell Hayden, a Missourian now living in Tennessee, whose experiences in that state provides this book with the best and most authentic ghost story. Dr. Joel D. Hayden of Columbia kindly loaned me his copy of the family's history, so the truth about Hayden House could be told. The Lemp Mansion. That's actually one entire chapter. So that was chapter 11. I'll go ahead and do chapter 11 and 12. Chapter 12, The Lemp Mansion. What Missouri Ghost relayed about this historic St. Louis place, now a restaurant/bed and breakfast, was only a fraction of its story. Sources originally reviewed included the book Lemp, The Haunting History, and many extensive newspaper and magazine articles about this family of brewers, whose operations covered 11 city blocks and whose wealth was a phenomenon of their era. Added details have come from interviews, recent books about the ghostly, and from Troy Taylor, editor of Ghost of the Prairie magazine, who has written at great lengths about Lemps during his research. He spent a night in their former home. Background. Two generations of the Limp family occupied the lavish home at 3,300. I don't know how to say that. 3322 de Menel, and 3 men from 2 generations of the family killed themselves there. The mother of the family met a difficult death there at only 47, and a daughter died by her own hand in another home nearby. Still, another family member died an untimely death, either in the brewery or some say in another state, where he had gone hoping to recover his health. The Limp House saw at least one promising marriage destruct wretchedly and go into prolonged and scandalous court proceedings. It also saw the family fortune reduced to almost nothing because of the Great Depression. The house saw its family become nearly extinct, with hardly an heir and none named Limp. From being one of the city's showplaces, the Limp mansion declined to conversion into apartments and finally to near flophouse status. The vision and enterprises of a family named Pointer brought the house back to its former beauty and put it to a use that enables countless people to experience the architecture, decoration, and furnishings of another time in history. During restoration, a great many strange things were observed in the house, including poltergeist-like movements and sounds. Apparitions were also reported. A sample of the newer stories. A woman told me of someone she knew who was eating at the mansion with a group, keeping one hand on his lap as etiquette demands. When he raised his hand at the end of the meal, it was smeared with butter, though he had felt nothing at all. One of the best Limp stories came at a St. Louis signing of Missouri Ghosts. A docent at the house, where tours are a standard attraction, knows a woman who did, or perhaps still does, bookkeeping for the restaurant. This lady, whom we'll call Mrs. Carter, often worked when the house was closed to customers, so she'd have no distractions. Sometimes she was able to do her work in the daytime, but sometimes it had to be done at night. One evening during the holiday season, some years ago, she was pleased to see the colored lights coming on as she drove in. That meant she'd not be entirely alone in the house, always desirable considering its reputation, and it meant whoever was there had noted her approach and was giving her a friendly, festive welcome. Inside the house, however, she could locate nobody, and thinking the lights must have come on by a wiring miscue, which could be dangerous, she turned them off. When they came right back on, the bookkeeper's feelings were divided between fear for the house and uneasiness for herself. Unable to dismiss her anxiety, she turned off the lights again and hurried to her office upstairs to get the documents and ledgers she would have used that night so she could work with them safely at home. Downstairs again, Miss Carter disconnected the lights, which had once more come on, and carefully locked the doors, as she always did. No doubt she was much relieved to be in her car, but as she drove away, Miss Carter glanced back and saw a disquieting sight. The colored Christmas lights were on again, and as she watched, light flared in her office window. The understated nature of this story never fails to evoke shivers from listeners who hear it told aloud. A persistent rumor about the Limps has been pointed out for this book by several people. It refers to a belief in the neighborhood that the Limps family included a child who was in some way afflicted and was kept in the attic apartment. The idea of a hidden relative was a common factor in many romances and mysteries of the 1800s, so one tends to give it very little credence in this case. But many storytellers repeat that people reported seeing a monkey-like face in the attic window, and they speculated that the final suicide in the house was related to this person. Maybe, they say, Charles A. Limp, who shot himself and his dog in the basement of the house in 1949, had been custodian for the secret family member. Perhaps, when that person's death ended Charles' responsibility, he made his own escape from a lonely and burdensome life. For more about the Limps, read Spirits of St. Louis by Robbie Cordaway, or The Limp Book by Stephen P. Walker. And that is the end of chapter 12. And I'll end it there. Short video, but I hope you guys enjoy.